News Talk 1070 KHMO presents On the Mark with Mark Hespin. News Talk 1070 KHMO presents On the Mark with Mark Hespin. On the Mark is powered by Kunis Country Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area at 221 North 36th Street, Quincy. Faith, family, and giving back. That's Kunis Country. And now, here's Mark Hespin.
Good morning, Tri-States, and wherever you may be listening on the News Talk 1070 KHMO app. This is On the Mark. I am Mark Hespin, brought to you by Kunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask them about that lifetime powertrain warranty, the no-fear warranty on new and used vehicles. Just stop by the dealership and say, hey, Mark sent me. Welcome on into episode 227 of On the Mark on this Saturday, March 9th, broadcasting live and local from our KHMO studios here in the heart of Quincy. As always, you can follow me on all social media at Mark Hespin, MarkHespen, on YouTube, on X, on Instagram. And I encourage you, if you listen to the show on the terrestrial radio or through the app, or maybe you always listen to the podcast version when it comes out on Apple Podcasts, that's awesome. Follow the show On the Mark KHMO on Facebook for updates throughout the week on the Facebook page as well. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Episode 227 is going to be a good one, I believe. And one of the reasons I believe it's going to be a good one is because NFL free agency kicks off this week. This is really, to me, the start of the 2024 season, right? The season starts now in earnest. You preparing for your NFL team in your future and what the season's going to hold and what your team does in free agency, what they don't do in free agency with the tags, who becomes available, how aggressive does your team get. The draft is then that next component, right? And then the training camp is that third component, preseason, fourth component, and then you're done. You have the four stages of the NFL offseason and to build up to what kickoff in September. So I want to touch on that here really quickly. Also, we will talk NBA. So many people get wrapped up in these regular season NBA games. The NBA regular season has never meant less in a lot of ways because these guys offensively, so many of them are just so skilled. The guys barely play defense on a night-to-night, back-to-backs, travel across the country. What can you actually gain and not gain from a big win? Like there was a big win last night in the NBA. People are talking about it on social media this morning. I'm going to calm the waters a little bit on that and kind of let you know how you should think through some of these NBA regular season games. We also will spend some time on the rookie quarterback. So Chris Sims, a guy I trust, a guy I like, has come out with his initial ranking of the projected 6 quarterbacks who are going to maybe go in the first round. And I'm pretty shocked. I think some of it's clickbaity. I'll kind of think maybe try to go into why he feels the way he does and give you my kind of initial thoughts on this upcoming rookie quarterback class. And then we'll wrap up the show with what to watch for this weekend. Ton of great stuff to watch for this weekend. Let's delay no longer. Let's jump into it as we always start every episode. Hespin headline number 1. Let's talk a little free agency and focus on the quarterback, shall we?
Hespin's headlines On the Mark.
All right, so free agency begins in earnest in the NFL on March 13th. If you don't know, that is Wednesday. So coming on up a couple days from now, we did see the franchise tags come and go. Guys like Saquon, guys like Josh Jacobs, they're going to hit the market. Derrick Henry, Chris Jones did not get franchise tagged. But we also saw this week some of the guys who got franchise tagged, like my guy Jalen Johnson, getting a 4-year, $76 million deal with the Chicago Bears. Love that move. It's great for the Chicago Bears, great for Jalen Johnson. He gets to hit the market again. He is just entering his prime. The Bears are going to pay a top dollar, but he's still not even a top 3 cornerback, in the NFL as far as financially goes, even though he's our top 3 cornerback in the NFL. Player-wise, he's getting a little more guaranteed. That's fine because you're guaranteeing money front end early when you know he's in his prime, when you know he's going to produce. Love this deal for the Bears. It's a win-win. You keep a homegrown talented player, and the player's happy he gets paid. You also had Justin Madubuike for the Ravens. Sign a big deal, 4-year, $98 million deal, 75 in guarantees and 53.3 due at signing. Whoo-wee! He got paid. He's buying his mom a new house this morning. But again, another deal I love. I told you the Ravens got to get a deal done. They are in win-now mode. He is a win-now player, and you pay him early. And if the production dips off drastically after 2 years, you let the player go, and it's really not that bad of a contract for you at all. Same with the Jalen Johnson deal with the Bears. Drew Tranquill signing with the Chiefs, great to get him back on a very reasonable deal. An important player to that very good Chiefs defense. So there's some deals already that I like. The guys who got tagged, they're getting some deals done. But I will say, we need to focus on the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks are going to be the talk of the town come free agency on Wednesday. So let's dive into it. I want to break this down in a couple of groups. There are some groups that are obviously needed to be traded, like a Justin Fields, like a Jameis Winston. We'll talk about them. There's some guys who are absolute free agents, Kirk, Russ, Baker, Ryan Tannehill, who I think need to sign early. And then there are some guys, Drew Lock, Sam Darnold, Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor, Jimmy G, who need to wait. They need to wait. And I'll explain why they need to wait. So let's jump into it. I think the number one quarterback domino to fall this offseason will be Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has once again put himself in a position, I don't know how he does it, that he is the most valuable quarterback piece on the market right now. We don't know how he's going to react from the Achilles, but we do know his game was never built and predicated on being extremely athletic and relying on his Achilles to be explosive. He's always just been a pocket guy. And you'd imagine that as long as he continues to be productive in the pocket, even a 90% Achilles isn't going to affect Kirk Cousins that much at all. If I'm Kirk Cousins, again, I'm going to approach this from the sense of I'm the player. Where do I look in free agency? Well, number one, I look to stay in Minnesota. Can I get a deal in Minnesota that's a 2-year deal or more that keeps me tied to the franchise that I have now, kind of built my career on. And I have Justin Jefferson. I have Jordan Addison. I have TJ Hawkinson. I have a coach I trust. And I don't want to have to move my family if I don't have to. So number one would be Minnesota. But if I'm Kirk Cousins, there are two other options out there that I think are really, really good options. Number one, that's Atlanta. I think Atlanta is a great option for a lot of guys who are looking to be a quarterback. The NFC South in general is a great option to be a quarterback in because it's a very winnable division, and Atlanta's got weapons. They have Drake London. They have Kyle Pitts. They have Bijan Robinson. They got weapons. Cordell Patterson. And so if you're Kirk Cousins, Atlanta, if you're going to leave Minnesota, I'd lean towards Atlanta. Washington would be the other team if I'm Kirk Cousins to keep my eye on. A reunion back home. You could sign him to a 2-year deal. It would prevent, I still think Washington could draft a quarterback then, but it would take all the pressure in the world off of starting that quarterback for a year or two. You say to that rookie, hey, listen, we're going to bring in Kirk Cousins. He was here before. And we want you to just absorb everything you can. Kirk is going to get this franchise back up and running because this franchise needs the reset with a new head football coach. And then this will be your team to compete for in training camp next year. I don't know if Kirk would 100% do that or like that, but I could see him maybe wanting to kind of bookend his career back in Washington, help them reclaim and restart their franchise, their organization. So if I'm Kirk, it's really those three. I would be really shocked if Kirk goes elsewhere, mainly AFC. I think Kirk is smart enough to know to stay in the NFC. I think he's smart enough to know to stay where the weapons are. A lot of people floated Denver, maybe the Raiders, maybe the Patriots. All those situations are huge uphill battles. The three teams I just mentioned, way easier to compete and way more comfort for if you're Kirk Cousins. Russell Wilson, let's talk about it. Obviously, the rumors are swirling that he took a meeting with the Giants. I like that if you're Russell Wilson. I like that if you're the Giants. To me, it shows that the Giants were really, really dumb, and they know that they were dumb in signing Daniel Jones, the deal they signed. They're having huge buyer's remorse. While, yes, they can start the year with Daniel Jones, bringing in Russell Wilson and just starting Russell Wilson and paying him nothing, That is a real thing. Now, if you're Russell Wilson, do you love the idea of being in New York with no weapons, a shaky offensive line? Yeah, you have a nice tackle, have a couple good pieces on defense, but really you have no weapons except for Darren Waller. You have Brian Dable, and then you have the New York media. You're in the NFC, so that's a benefit, right? You get out of the slog that is the AFC. But the Giants are lower on my list. If I was Kirk, my number one destination would be Pittsburgh. Now, I know AFC, and maybe the toughest division in the AFC, but you have Mike Tomlin. You have the weapons. You have a solid offensive line. You have good running backs, and you have a win-now defense, right? So there's a lot of positives for it. Also, Russell Wilson is a guy that clearly is just not well liked for whatever reason. I think he brings a lot of it upon himself. I don't think he is a very natural just guy's guy. I don't think he fits in the locker room. I think there's a lot of reasons why his extreme religion, his kind of phony, almost robotic way of answering and questions and being a part of the team. There's reports and rumors that he won't give out his phone number to certain teammates. You have to go through certain channels to get a hold of him. Kind of a holier-than-thou type of player. That's not good. None of that's good. And he brings that all upon himself. Hopefully this Denver experience has humbled that, and he can kind of go back to maybe what he was those first couple of years of the league as a rookie who's betting on himself. But Pittsburgh feels really right for that. Pittsburgh feels like a place that has a really strong culture led by Mike Tomlin, who can handle whatever Russ throws at them. And Russ can't overthrow Mike. And so I think also Russ will know he's desperate. He's got Pickens. They have Freiermuth, good running back, solid offensive line. I think Pittsburgh's the number one destination if you're Russ. You compete against Kenny Pickett. You know you can beat him out. And so I would go Atlanta 2 for Russ, Giants 3 if I'm Russ and looking at my free agency options. Baker Mayfield, number one and number one only, go back to Tampa. I don't know why he hasn't already agreed to a deal with Tampa. I'm really surprised. I think if you're Baker, they just got the Mike Evans deal done. Get the deal done. Stay in Tampa. I'm sure he's just interested in seeing what else he can get. Remember, 3 years ago, Baker Mayfield turned down that $100 million 5-year. It was like a 5-year, $150 million, but only like 99 of it guaranteed. And he was really insulted by that. At the time, that would have been really a huge guarantee. But there were already guys like Pat getting the 150 guarantee, the guys like Josh Allen getting the 140 guarantee, and he wanted to be in that 130, 140 plus. And then the next year, you get guys getting the 200 million guaranteed, and he was basically being offered like a year or two late. I think he would kill to have that deal done now. And I think if you're Baker, he's looking to try to get that bite at the apple back. And I don't know if Tampa's willing to go $100 million guaranteed on a 3-year deal, but I think there might be some other teams desperate enough to do it. So I think that's why Baker, his team, is just wanting to hear what offers are out there. But if you're Baker, I don't think you should be stupid about this. Take a little less money, stay with Tampa, stay relevant, get those commercial money, get those endorsement deals, and just win football games. Be in the playoffs. That's better than an extra couple $1 million guaranteed from somewhere else. So Baker's kind of Tampa or bust. If I was to give Baker another team to look at, just for the marketing, just for the fun, just for the lifestyle, the branding, and also they have the weapons, I would say it'd be really fun to see Baker in Vegas with the Raiders. If the Raiders are willing to give him more money than Tampa's willing to give him, that could be really fun. Just could be really fun. Baker in Vegas, I think that story writes itself. And then there's one other guy, and I think this is an interesting name, and I think it's a name that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago especially, carried a lot more weight than it does now, but I still think there's a place in this league for this name and this guy, and that's Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is the one he's this kind of the fringe of the free agent guys. Ryan Tannehill's life basically right now is either bring a rookie along or, we just need someone to start for us for a year because we're desperate and we didn't like any of the high-end rookies and we don't want to start a rookie. We have kind of a competitive team, and so we need to find something, right? If you're Ryan Tannehill, I would try to find a job before the draft. Because if you're Tannehill, if you find a job and then they draft someone, fine, be what it is. But if you sign on right now with a Pittsburgh, right, then you're already day one like, oh, he's competing with Kenny Pickett. And he's got Arthur Smith, the guy that he just worked with for all those years, was successful in that year in Tennessee. That makes sense. If you're Ryan Tannehill and you immediately sign with Atlanta and you immediately sign with, Washington or whatever, you're the day one starter, right? You are the day one starter. You're the guy who's going to start. And I think at this point in time, if you're Ryan Tannehill, that's the goal, right? You want to start as many games as possible and hold off a rookie or another veteran as long as possible to try to, make your career last as long as possible. So I think it's urgent for Ryan Tannehill to get his name out there, to find a place where he can sign with, where immediately it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's the day one starter. The other option would be like, go find the best backup quarterback situation around. Go sign with the Chiefs and be like, I'll be Mahomes' backup. He gets injured. I'll win you a game or two, and let's go win another Super Bowl. And just then start compiling those checks as like the number one backup in the league. It may not be the worst scenario for him either. But I think Ryan Tannehill's goal is to start. And if his goal is to start, go grab a job now and kind of cement yourself as, it's all right. If they draft a rookie, they draft a rookie. But I'm going to start the season, and I'm going to show you that I still got something left in the tank, and I can help this team for a year transition. You're listening on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. Brought to you by Cunis Honda Hyundai. There are then two names that obviously need to be traded. They're not free agents, but I think they're really interesting. Number one is Justin Fields. We just don't know yet the future of Justin Fields. If you believe a lot of the reports, everyone is leaning towards the Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams. They got to find Justin Fields a trade partner. If the Bears are trying to do right by Justin Fields, and if the Bears want to gain as much as they can for Justin Fields, it is imperative for them to trade him soon when free agency starts or before free agency. Because, again, these quarterback spots are going to start filling on up. And, yeah, there's a lot of quarterback-needy teams, but these spots are going to start filling on up. And if you want to get the most out of him, you got to get it. You got to move him soon. Obviously, if you're Justin, I think Chicago's your number one destination. They should just stay there. Atlanta would be number two. And then I think there are a couple teams that make some sense. Seattle and the Giants. You would go in there as kind of like a day one starter, compete for the job guy against the veterans who they're kind of burnt out on. And then I also think New England makes some sense because I know it's the AFC, but if you go to New England, you assume then they're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and they're kind of going to invest in you in that way. And then you get a weapon like that on a team then that will not waste any draft picks on a quarterback and really build up this franchise. And I think there's a fresh start feel in New England that's a good thing. New eyes at the draft looking at things like that. So I don't think New England's the worst situation for a guy like Justin Fields to end up. Keep your eyes on the Raiders. He gets to reteam with, his former offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. Maybe they could sell the team on, hey, let's take a flyer on Justin Fields for a year or two. If we don't think we're going to be in the position to draft a quarterback we want to, and why not? Like, we're not beating Mahomes anyways, so why not take Justin Fields and see if he could develop into something really special with us and get him away from Chicago. So there's options. They just got to move quickly if they're going to move him. And then if you're Jameis Winston, I don't know how the Denver Broncos haven't already called the New Orleans Saints and said, give us Jameis Winston. Here's a fourth rounder. Give us Jameis Winston. Like, the Broncos and Jameis Winston makes too much sense. It makes way too much sense. Sean Payton liked Jameis so much to bring him in. Then Sean left. And then Jameis has been kind of stuck there in New Orleans. Jameis is a starting caliber quarterback. Jameis absolutely would fit in with what Denver's trying to do. Start him for a whole year. If you like a quarterback that falls to you in the draft him fine. You can still start Jameis. Anyone who Denver's drafting at their spot, a J.J. McCarthy, a Bo Nix, a Michael Penix Jr., you're not going to want to start them day one anyways. So you start Jameis Winston for a year. If Jameis hits and he's great, well, then great. He's got the Cortland Suttons, the Jerry Judys, the big-time weapons that he can take advantage of the way he plays football. And if Jameis, putters out by Thanksgiving, then throw the rookie in and you start fresh. But it's absolutely worth it if you're Denver, in my opinion. Go get Jameis Winston. Go get Jameis Winston. And then finally, I know this is a long segment. We're going to wrap it up here. There are a couple names in the quarterback market that I think are really interesting, but I think the smartest thing for them to do is to wait until after the draft. All of these guys are the names that their agents should be touting them to teams as, hey, you just drafted a rookie. My guy is the guy to come on in and help guide your rookie so your rookie can learn and understand and know that this is how it's going to work. And he can start for you for your first, 5-6 games. And if you want to pull the plug on him, fine. But this is the guy. And those names are Drew Lock, Sam Darnold, Marcus Mariota, Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor, and Jimmy G. All of those guys are capable of starting the season like for the first 5 games. And let Bo Nix, let Michael Penix Jr., let J.J. McCarthy, hell, let Jane Daniels and Drake May sit, right? And just start those guys and let them take the lumps, right? I think Drew Lock's actually best situation is going to be Chicago. He knows Shane Waldron. He knows that system. And again, he won't start right away, but he'd be a veteran quarterback to bring in if they move off Justin Fields. Even if they don't move off Justin Fields, bring Drew Lock in behind Justin Fields as a legitimate backup quarterback to Justin Fields. Darnold, Mariota, Brissett, Tyrod Taylor, Jimmy G, all of them could easily be like, I can bring your rookie along. Trust me with that process. So listen, this is all going to break. I mean, we are next week on the show. I fully expect us to be talking about a lot of these names and deals done, which is exciting for us because I wanted to put out there what I'm thinking, kind of where that window goes. And we'll check back in next week with what actually happens and see, how right or wrong some of these moves I think are or were. You're listening on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. When we come back, don't get swept up by these big wins in the NBA regular season. Oh, my God. Did you see what the Lakers did last night? No panic. No panic. You're listening on the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app.
1070 KHMO.
Welcome on back down the Mark here in News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. Brought to you by Cunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask about that lifetime powertrain warranty, the no fear warranty on new and used vehicles, and you're doing really something special this month. It's March, and they got some madness going on. So Cunis Honda Hyundai, if you refer someone to Cunis Honda Hyundai, and they buy a brand new Honda, Hyundai, or any other new vehicles from Cunis network of dealers, Jeeps, Chryslers, Dodge, Toyotas, Cunis Honda Hyundai can do that for you too. You can get $500 in your pocket. So call the sales team. Let them know, hey, my name is Mark. I'm sending in John, and they're going to come buy a new car from you. Referral to me, and you get $500 in your pocket. Really special stuff. ShopCunis.com. Stop by the dealership, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Tell them, hey, Mark sent me. So last night, oh, my God. Did you see what happened last night? The Lakers, without LeBron James, D'Angelo Russell went off 44 points in a 123-122 stunner. The Lakers beat the Bucks. Stunner. No LeBron. The NBA regular season right now, in the world of the NBA, is just so maddening. I've been a proponent for years of shortening the NBA regular season, but I'm now at the point with the way how little teams play defense and how easy it is for random dudes like D'Angelo Russell to go off for 44 a night. You almost need the 82-game regular season to actually figure out which teams are good and which aren't. night to night in the NBA, anything can happen. The Warriors lost by 50 plus to the Celtics. And the next night come back and drub a really good team. The Cavs go on the road and beat two of the best teams in the the night before they beat the Celtics, then they beat the Timberwolves, the two number one teams in the league, back to back. Like the day to day in the regular season, in a micro level, you can believe anything. I can tell you right now, just after last night, well, D'Angelo Russell, man, he's like a top 5 player in the league, 44 against the Bucks. But is he really top 4 player in the league? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So don't get wrapped up in the day-to-day in the NBA. You have to look at like month to month. How is a team trending in that month? Even over like a 10-game span. And then it all accumulates over the 82-game season. The biggest thing about the NBA is it's very similar to the MLB, baseball, in the sense that when it comes time to the playoffs, anything and everything changes. In the sense that baseball, it's all about, can we make it through the regular season, the slog? NBA is similar to that. The MLB playoffs, then it's like, oh, this is a different game. You got your ace going into the 8th inning. Normally you're pulling him in the 6th because you want to save him, and keep innings. But no, now it's you throw everything at the wall. It's the same thing in the NBA. In the NBA, it's like, well, it's a back-to-back. We're going to rest these guys. We got a flight. We're leaving Milwaukee tonight. We got to be in San Antonio tomorrow. And then after that game against the Spurs, we're not home again for another 2 weeks because our arena is hosting Janet Jackson. And then, Zach Bryan is coming into town. And so we got a West Coast road trip. We're in hotels for 2 weeks. And, we can go 500 through the stretch. We'll be all right. And then the playoffs come and it's like, no. Every single game is life or death. And guys like LeBron James turn the clock back. Right? And all of a sudden, Dame can play a little defense. Giannis is blocking 10 shots. So when it comes to the NBA regular season versus the playoffs, you have to lump the NBA. The NFL is its own thing. It's 1 games, all or nothing, all the pressure in the world. The NBA, the NHL, and the MLB, their players are all very similar in the sense that you have these slogs and then everything changes. In the NHL, one hot goalie, boom, the number 1 seed, a team that wins all of the games of the regular season, most ever, the Bruins, out in the first round. In the NBA, it's all of a sudden the Heat were not very good, barely made the play-in team. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Because it's a different game. And because the veteran dudes then show up, everyone tightens up. Coaching matters that much more. And a guy like Spoelstra, all of a sudden, night to night doesn't matter versus every single game we're putting 100% of our focus on how to stop Jason Tatum. And look, you can stop him. Versus maybe you just left Cleveland and now you got a red eye to Boston then overnight and then you play an early game on Sunday and it's the national television game of the week. I didn't get to watch any film on Tatum. One of my assistant coaches kind of gave me he likes to go right. And, we're a West Coast, Western Conference team, so we haven't played him much. But in the playoffs, it's like, no. We're spending every waking moment dissecting these guys and breaking them down and how to stop them. And we're the best athletes on the planet. And so don't get wrapped up in, listen, ESPN, they got to promote this crap because they own the NBA. So they got to promote, did you see what happened last night? Oh, my God, the Lakers with no LeBron. Are they better without LeBron? Can the Lakers look out? They're going to win the Western Conference. They beat the Bucks. It's like, okay. On a Friday night in L.A., D'Angelo Russell win off. Great. Let me know if that happens in June. Let me know if that's happening in June because I'd like to see it happen in June. In the end, what the point of what I'm trying to go on this rant is Stay focused on the veteran teams who've been there, who've done it before. In the NBA, to win in the playoffs, you need vets, you need good coaching, you need experience, and you need at least 2 stars. That's how you win in the playoffs. So when I look at who are the teams I trust in the playoffs, it's 3 teams in the East, 3 teams in the West. In the East, I trust the Heat, I trust the Celtics, I trust the Bucks. I've seen them do it. They've all made a finals in the last 3 years. Bucks won a finals. They all have 2 stars. Butler and Bam, Tatum and Brown, Giannis and Dame. Good coaches. Spoelstra, maybe the best in the league. So, boom, I trust those 3 teams. Sorry, Cleveland. Sorry, Knicks. Yeah, the Magic are really fun. Pablo Banchero is great to watch. And this is a great year for them to build experience, lose in the second round, and then add a vet, and then come back in next year. I might say, all right, I might trust them a little bit more. But I'm not trusting the Magic this year to make it to an NBA Finals. They're just not doing it. Sorry, Philly, without Joel Embiid. Sorry, Indiana. What happened to Tyrese Halliburton? We were talking about all beginning of the year. I haven't talked about Tyrese Halliburton forever. And in the West, it's simple. The Nuggets, the Warriors, and the Lakers. They've all been to a finals or won a finals within the last 4 years. They have the 2 stars. Steph, really, Steve Kerr. And then I would add in at this point in time just the supporting cast. He doesn't really have a number 2, but Clay on any given night, Draymond on any given night, and a bunch of young players who are up and coming. Nuggets, Jokic and Murray. Lakers, LeBron and AD. And a good coaching, and they'll be fine. Like that. That's it. Like, sorry, Clippers, I don't buy into you yet. You're really close. You have stars, good coach, but I haven't seen you do it. Where are your Western Conference Finals wins? When have you gotten to the finals last? Sorry, Sacramento. Hey, Phoenix, yeah, I know you were in the finals, but you haven't done it with KD. And yeah, you have stars, but all that star power has gotten you 6th in the West. Like, I got to see it. I got to see it and know it and trust it. Right now, those are the 6 teams in the NBA I trust to make the NBA Finals. I don't trust anyone else to make the NBA Finals. If you're betting on any of those 6 teams, anyone else beyond those 6 teams to make an NBA Finals, good luck with your money. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. When we come back, Chris Sims, he has released his ranking of the quarterback prospects. And, of course, there's one name that's way lower than it should be. Chris Sims doing a little clickbaity stuff. I'll examine why I think he went the route he went. And does his claims hold water, or is he doing some stuff for some clickbait? Next, we're live and local on America's News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. It's on the mark.
Peace, y'all. This is Common, and I'm passionate about helping the Black community learn about lung cancer, a disease that disproportionately affects us, which is why I'm here with Stand Up to Cancer, to bring you the facts. Fact. In the United States, over 25,000 Black men and women are diagnosed with lung cancer each year. Fact. Our community is more likely to develop advanced lung cancer than any other racial or ethnic group. Fact. Lack of access to health care, lack of clear resources for help, and mistrust in the medical system are not helping us beat this. Fact. Lung cancer continues to be the leading cause of cancer deaths among Black men and women. But there is a way for us to take back control of our health and change things. Learn all that you can about you or a loved one's diagnosis and treatment options. Get more information on lung cancer, screening, and clinical trials by visiting standuptocancer.org/lung cancer. Together we can bring about real change, because fact, change is possible, and it starts with you.
Hi, I'm Connie Britton. I support Feeding America because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org. Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Here's your weatherology forecast from the News Talk 1070 KHMO Weather Center. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 48. Winds out of the northwest, 10 to 15 miles per hour. 29 tonight. 55 tomorrow. Ample sunshine expected. Right now, it's 34 degrees.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. We are brought to you by Cunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the tri-state area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. You got to ask them about that lifetime powertrain warranty on new and used vehicles. The No Fear lifetime powertrain warranty. And just say, hey, Mark sent you. ShopCunis.com if you want to see their entire network of cars. And what's cool about the network is if you find something in the network and it's not here at the Quincy store, they can bring it down for you. That's how I got my truck from Cunis Honda Hyundai. I said, hey, I really want to look at this. They had it there the next day and was driving home with it. It's incredible what they do at Cunis Honda Hyundai. All right, let's jump into it. Chris Sims, he released his full quarterback rankings of the rookies, who he would draft, who he ranks 1 through 6. So there's 6 guys who we believe could be first rounders. Bo Nix, Jane Daniels, Caleb Williams, Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, Drake May. The consensus right now is that it's really Williams 1, Drake May 2, Jane Daniels 3. It's kind of the overwhelming consensus when you look at the mock drafts, when you look at the size, the film, and what teams are talking about. So, needless to say, it was very shocking to a lot of people on the interwebs when Chris Sims earlier this week released his based on the film, in quotes. So only based on the film, how I would rank these guys. Not the interviews, not the measurables, not just the pure upside and talent, which all of that goes into drafting a quarterback, by the way. You want your team to interview them. You want your team to know the measurables, the upside. You want them to have a comparison physically. You obviously, the film is extremely important. I'd say it's 75% of it. But there's a crucial 25% that matters as well. So based on his projections of only the film, here's how he would rank Chris Sims, the quarterbacks. Number 1, Caleb Williams, and he says gap. Number 2, Jaden Daniels, gap. And then number 3, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr. 4, J.J. McCarthy 5, all lumped together, gap, Drake May. So let's let that digest. So most people think Drake May is the number 2 quarterback in this class. And he has him 6 with like 2 full gaps between the number 2 spot and him, between Jane Daniels and him. So I want to say this. Let me start by this. Blind resume. If I were to tell you, hey, one quarterback in this draft is a true 6'4", maybe 6'5". Perfect height. One quarterback in this draft is the weight already that you want your NFL starting quarterback to be, especially with his size, 235 plus, 230 plus. Like size, build to handle the NFL. Oh, and he has the biggest arm of any of the quarterbacks in the draft. Size is Justin Herbert. Arm is Justin Herbert. And then I'm not letting you watch any of the film, but that's a guy. He's a projected first rounder, and he's the only one who's a true 6'4" and a true 230 plus. Yeah, there's another guy who's 6'4", but he's 210, a little scrawny. There's a couple guys who are 6'2", but they're both around like 215, 210. It's a little light to, take hits from guys like Chris Jones. Another guy who's 6'3", tall, but he's 202. Cool, real spindly guy. And yet the guy who's 6'4", 230 plus, you're going to put him at 6. Yeah, that's Drake May. Tape is important. And yeah, if you break down the tape of every single throw, There's going to be a lot you don't like from college quarterbacks. The whole Notre Dame game is trash for Caleb Williams. Well, you know, there was a lot of bad tape on Patrick Mahomes. There's a lot of bad games for Peyton Manning at Tennessee. Didn't win the national title. Didn't go undefeated. Threw some interceptions. So there's a lot of bad tape. So tape is important. I'd say it's about 75% of what you need. But there is a crucial part to drafting a quarterback and figuring out if they're going to be an NFL quarterback. Number one, it's meeting them and seeing if they have the personality for it. And everything I've seen from Drake May is like Justin Herbert 2.0. Calm, cool, collected, confident, but silent but deadly. Size, Justin Herbert. And then the upside, there has to be upside tied into this. And part of that upside is the size. Can they physically handle being an NFL quarterback? Drake May absolutely can. Jaden Daniels, 6'4". I like the size, but he's 210. He's a slender guy. And part of that is to his advantage because he's lightning quick, very elusive. But you take one hard landing from Chris Jones chasing you down and Max Crosby whipping you to the ground. I don't know about that. You know, Justin Fields is 6'3", but he is 230, 225, and built with the speed. And even he gets injured a lot. So that worries me with Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix, 6'2", okay. 217, not great. And he doesn't have the arm that Drake May does. Are you going to put him ahead of Drake May? J.J. McCarthy is at stick, 6'3", 202. I mean, to me, J.J. McCarthy is not a first-round quarterback as of right now in my early assessment of this. Michael Penix Jr., he's 6'3", love that. 213, don't love that as much. Injury history, obviously a part of the upside in drafting a quarterback. And you're going to put him ahead of Drake May? You know, and then Caleb is 6'1.5", 6'2", 215. Not ideal height. Tall enough. Not big enough. Probably like to get him up to like 220, 225 to handle the NFL season. So I just don't get the Drake May 6. I understand if you're saying, hey, listen, I like the upside of Jaden Daniels a little bit more. The dude is special. And he's got a little bit more of that modern what you want in the NFL. Just like that dude makes all the plays. But to put Drake May that low, I'm really shocked. I'm going to watch more film. I'll put my rankings as of right now. I think that's pretty clickbaity from Chris Sims. Take a break. What to watch for next? Live and local in America's News Talk 1070 KHMO, the KHMO app. It's On the Mark, brought to you by Cunis Honda Hyundai.
I knew with this pregnancy something didn't feel right.
I was scared. I was scared a lot of the time because I just felt like no one heard me.
I'm glad I didn't stop at no. And I'm glad someone finally heard me. Someone finally listened to me.
Black women are more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications. Learn the warning signs and be the one to hear her concerns. Visit cdc.gov/hearher. It could help save her life.
1070 KHMO.
Welcome on back to On the Mark here on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app, brought to you by the great people at Cunis Honda Hyundai, your number one Honda and Hyundai dealer in the Tri-State area, 221 North 36th Street in Quincy. Stop by the dealership this weekend. Check out all the new and used inventory on the lot. But as always, shop Cunis.com. If you go into Cunis Honda Hyundai, here's what's really special. Say you were just browsing around. Say, you know what? I really want one of these brand new 2024 Jeep Gladiators. Man, I really, really want a brand new 2024 Dodge Ram. Too bad. I really wish I had the Cunis Honda Hyundai lifetime powertrain warranty, but they don't sell new Rams and new Jeeps and new Toyotas. Not so fast. Go into Cunis Honda Hyundai, 221 North 36th Street, and just ask them. Say, hey, Mark told me I could buy a brand new Dodge Ram here. You're going to be surprised. I'm telling you, you're going to be surprised. It's going to blow you away. And you get in on that Cunis lifetime powertrain warranty. All right, welcome on back. We're only got a minute or so here left. I just want to quickly say what to watch for this weekend. A lot of good stuff to watch for this weekend, including in the men's college basketball today. We have some big games. Let me start with the. No, my computer's freezing up here. Classic bad radio. Arkansas, Alabama wrapping on up. Alabama trying to make sure they can find themselves into a top 4 seed heading into the SEC tournament. You also have a massive game for Villanova. If they want to make the tournament, they're hosting Creighton. That's at 1:30 on Fox. Creighton's favored by 1.5 points. Texas plays Oklahoma today. Houston versus Kansas. That could be a battle for a number 1 seed. I mean, this is a huge game for Kansas. If Kansas can go into Houston and find a way to win, they could be looking, depending on what they do in the Big 12 tournament, at a number 1 seed. Same with Kentucky. Number 15, Kentucky at number 4, Tennessee. If Kentucky wants to sneak their way into a top 2 seed, it starts with a big road win at Tennessee today and then doing well in the conference tournament. And then, of course, tonight, 5:30, Duke, Carolina. You can't not watch that. Women's game today, Iowa is back in action. Caitlin Clark, they're taking on Michigan on the Big Ten Network. So you definitely have to give that a watch. Caitlin Clark has just been electric. Also, Paige Beckers and UConn host Providence, the Big East tournament quarterfinal. Keep your eye on UConn and Paige Beckers. She's coming back for another year. As Caitlin Clark is leaving, she is the one, Paige Beckers, especially if she can get UConn on a run in the tournament this year. She's the one to keep carrying college basketball. She was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. The multiple injuries, the COVID year, and all of a sudden Caitlin Clark came out of nowhere, stole a lot of that shine from a Paige Beckers. Keep your eye out for Paige Beckers and UConn. I'm going to check that game out at 11 a.m. on FS1 today. In the NBA, today there's a couple big games. Sunday, a couple big games. But again, in the NBA, you got to be careful with who you're watching on any given Sunday. Boston at Phoenix, that'll be the one to watch tonight on ABC, 7:30. And then Sunday, Milwaukee at the Clippers. This is a big game for both teams, especially with the Clippers and trying to prove me wrong that they are not a team to trust in the West. I will also be watching the Oscars Sunday night. So if you want to tweet along with me, at Mark Hespin on X, little Oscars action. Enjoy your weekend. Big show next week with free agency kick.